So, folks, today we're going to interview somebody who dons multiple hats. Firstly, BBC Radio Lancashire and Manchester producer and presenter. She has been featured as one of Lancashire's top 35 talents 2019.
Holi is celebrated as the arrival of spring. Thousands, in fact millions of Hindus around the world at the moment are celebrating this festival of colour. How much colour have you been throwing today, young lady?
Throwing it at everyone, literally.
Has it not managed to catch you yet?
No.
Oops!
She's the owner of a YouTube channel, the Hindu Discovery channel, which talks about Hindu rites and rituals.
This is what happens when you get a bunch of Gujaratis in the room. Hi guys, welcome to the Hindu Discovery channel, and today we're going to be looking at Hindu weddings, rites and rituals.
She has interviewed the creme de la creme of Bollywood: Kareena Kapoor Khan, Priyanka Chopra, Deepika Padukone, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Abhishek Bachchan, and so on. So please let's welcome Neetal Parekh. Hi Neetal, thank you so much for taking out time to be there for my YouTube channel, Mrs. C, in the new interview segment. So firstly, I want to say multiple roles as a BBC presenter, Hindu Discovery channel owner, and Lancashire's Top 35 Talents 2019. How do you manage to juggle so many hats?
It's an incredible honor to feature on your YouTube channel, and I'm so honored to be interviewed by you. I've known you for years, and you know how much I absolutely adore you and your fantastic skills. So that, you know, our praising has now, we've gone past that stage. But in terms of, I always describe myself one head, many hats, and I think that's the beauty of being a woman. We can multitask, and I'm just so excited by everything, whether it's cooking, whether it's cleaning, or whether it's hosting a show, whether it's interviewing, presenting. Everything excites me. I'm not, I'm game to try everything. I don't claim to be a jack of. I don't claim to be good at anything. I'm a jack of all trades. You give me something, and I'll do the best at it.
Yes, and I have a personal account of that because I remember we shot a documentary in Cuttack together, and you just have this bubbly sort of energy which makes even the dullest person in the room filled with energy. It's just like Neetal starts talking and everyone's like, you know, so there's never a dull moment in your life, or so it seems, you know. However, 2020 has been quite challenging for all or most of us due to the pandemic. So during lockdown and whenever there has been restricted movement, how challenging has it been to keep churning out content, keep churning out news? As an interviewer, as a reporter, how challenging has it been for you?
So, you know, 2020, I know for many it's been difficult, for the whole world. In fact, the pandemic's been really difficult. But for me, it was, you know, perhaps one of the most creatively, one of the best years I've had. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm so excited about everything. And what I did was I started, I recognized quite early that some of the key government messages are really difficult for the people of our South Asian culture to understand. So I immediately created short videos or videos in Bengali, Urdu, Punjabi, Gujarati, communicated some of the key messages. And these videos just kind of went boom, viral because people latched onto this really key message, which was authentic, real, straight from kind of the government website. And, you know, BBC World News picked it up, BBC Northwest News, The Times, and it never featured on any of these. So I was like, woohoo! So this was great. And then, you know, people in Pakistan, Bangladesh, India contacted me saying, oh, we've seen your videos. So this is the power of creating something which might not be perfect. My video was not perfect in any shape or form. The sound was terrible. Even the way it was kind of probably shot, not great. And then you have the rest of the, even the quality of it. You know, there's no kind of animations in there, but people accepted that because the content was great, and the imperfection of it's what made the video so relatable. So yeah, 2020, like I said, it's been a great year, and I've got to connect with people who I've never connected in my life.
That's amazing. And like you said, flawed is beautiful. I think nowadays people like relatable content. They want enjoyable content. They don't want perfect. I think perfect doesn't work nowadays.
Imperfection sells.
So Neetal, my next question for you is that you've interviewed the creme de la creme of Bollywood, starting from my favorite Kareena to Priyanka, Deepika, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh, Abhishek. Now India by and large is largely enamored by Bollywood, right? So I want to ask you that, is that part of the reason why you wanted to become a reporter? And is the influence of Bollywood as large in the UK?
So there's a couple of questions in that, and I'll start by answering. So in answer to your question, Bollywood has become a huge introduction to someone's identity, especially the South Asian community, because even in the UK, people don't understand that if you come under the South Asian category, you could be either Pakistani, Indian, or Bangladeshi, and many people in the UK don't know that. And Bollywood is what kind of brings all them countries together, all them cultures together. So they act as that identity factor. Are the UK audience enamored by Bollywood? Absolutely, because it's the only kind of escapism we get, or Indianness we get. It's a lot more than just filmmaking. There's this I keep going back to identity, because as a British Indian, I know how important it is to have an identity, and our identity is both Eastern and Western culture brought together, and not being ashamed of it. And you will know, when you came to the UK, there's a real battle in terms of, are you too Western, are you too Eastern? And it's striking that balance. And I think Bollywood has that kind of central balance. I think it's not too Indian, and it's not too Eastern, it's not too Western. There's a great strike for balance, and it's perhaps because of how the dress, the filmmaking, everything's relatable. People will travel from Preston to Scotland or London to Scotland just to get a glimpse of their Bollywood star. Kareena Kapoor comes all the time to the UK with her family, and they just all seem to be chilled out. There's no kind of give us an autograph and chasing. They seem to be really chilled out, just any other person kind of walking across the street, but they seem to be a bit more chilled out and gracious when they do talk to you. When you meet the likes of Salman and Shah Rukh, and they're so sweet. I mean, I feel like the bigger they are, the sweeter they are. They're just so kind. They just give you a hug and talk to you, and so nice. I mean, the most gracious one was Kareena, Shah Rukh, and Abhishek. Really nice. Priyanka was really nice, surprisingly nice. I've never really been a fan of hers, but I was incredibly touched by how normal and sweet she was. I don't know if you've seen the interview, but she was just so gentle, so nice, and so charismatic. Just really nice.
Smile, and then they try to do a curl on your head.
But I also love the mustache on my dad's stash. He won't be very happy with the double chin, but
Oh, sorry, uncle.
I think people, when they look at me, or if they look at public people, celebrities as you call them, I don't like that word, but people who are in a public life, I think that when most people look at them, you don't see public people as being able to bleed red or have feelings.
Yeah, and there's that misconception that Kareena is really arrogant and can be, but she was so sweet, funny. She was actually quite funny as well. I think when you're just normal with them, when you're just like, oh my God, you're Shah Rukh, and when you do something like that, I think they're just like, all right, hun, just chill. And when you're just like, oh, hi, Shah Rukh, how was your trip? Did you ever, what do you think of, what do you think of Preston, or what do you think of, and then that icebreaker starts. If I, for example, with Priyanka, and this is a tip to all reporters if you're interviewing, keep the conversation normal. Even if it means doing the cliche, asking about the weather, or and do your research with Priyanka. All of them, I always do lots of research. Like that clip I played at the start. She asked for that clip. She remembered that clip, and remembered that interview because I did something slightly different. So that's a golden tip. They really appreciate that. I think they really. I know they quite, especially the Bollywood stars. They're slightly sentimental.
Interesting. In fact, that was going to be my next question. That these celebrities, they're larger than life figures for us, right? We've seen it on the 35 screen. But in reality, also, were you starstruck by them? Or did you find them to be really regular people like us? Because they are, to an extent, obviously, right?
So, Shah Rukh and Kareena have a star presence. Just this, boom, you're just like, geez, she's a star. Like, you just know there's something in that aura which is just so magnetic that you just think definitely like super special. But when you talk to them, they're incredibly regular. They have the same kind of hookups. They're tired, they're hungry, or they're on their phone, they've got a message. So yeah, they're really regular. It's how you are. It's how you are around them. If you are just over the top and starstruck and you've not done your research, they'll catch you. They're just like, no, I didn't say that. Oh, I'm just so shocked. Because imagine they must do interviews day in, day out, and you don't want your questions to be the same old. Do some research, go through, I go through hours and hours of old interviews until I derive my questions. And my questions are always very, very short. I get it off the answers. So if they answer me, and perhaps that's a training I've always got, like whatever answer they've given, then I build on the next question from there.
Right. So that's wonderful. And the next question which I wanted to ask you is that you have a YouTube channel called the Hinduscovery channel, which talks about Hindu rites and rituals. So being an NRI based in the UK, how difficult has it been to keep base with, your roots and the Indian culture? Is it just the influence of your family, or have there been other external factors as well?
Do you know what? I've been brought up in a Hindu family, and I always associate, when I think of fun memories, they've always been associated with the Hindu festivals, whether it's Diwali, Holi, Raksha Bandhan. And I thought, what contributes to me? Everyone always say, you're really positive, you're always really happy. And I always associate that with having such a solid, we never had lots of money, but we had lots of celebrations. We would celebrate, like in our Hindu Dharma, there's so many celebrations. And then I thought to myself, why do we have so many celebrations? Why do we have so many rituals? Why do we put the tika on? Or why do we have the coconut? What is it? I wanted to understand. And you'd be surprised that the great kind of Rishi Munis, or the great sages, had anticipated that in the next thousands of years to come, there will be no such thing as Ravans or demons. Demons will come in the form of depression, isolation, loneliness. And it's festivals like this that will keep the community or individuals engaged. They'll be compelled to come out and meet people. Say, for example, I always use the analogy, you've got an old person who lives on their own. They live in their own house, they don't dress up, they're in their pajamas all day, they don't talk to anyone. And that once a week, coming to the mandir or coming to celebrate a festival will compel them to dress up, put their makeup on, and step out the house and meet people and eat your own food. And that's like being underwater for 6 days and then coming out, getting your fresh air, and then going back under again. So like our Rishi Munis, the great sages, the Hindu Rishi Munis had predicted that, depression and suicidal thoughts will contribute hugely if your mind isn't engaged. Like they say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So these rites and rituals are designed specifically to keep the mind engaged, whether it's attending Aarti, whether it's, attending pujas, turning the mala, everything has a reason, and that excited me. So the first kind of series I released was on the Hindu weddings, rites and rituals from.
The viva is considered one of the most important sanskaras of the 16 sanskaras.
Wow. So the 16 sanskaras, they start from birth.
Before birth as well.
Oh, before birth as well. Wow.
Yes.
And why is viva the most important, Hindu viva? Why is that?
Because viva is a way of planning two souls into one.
There is that whole conversation at the moment where it's, oh, you know, why should we get married? It's just a piece of paper. It's, you know, a lot of that conversation does come out, and you know, each to their own.
So, as a BBC presenter, you have highlighted some of the opinions of South Asians on the issues that impact British Asians. So, would you like to highlight some of the issues that British Asians face?
For me, the biggest thing British South Asians in the UK face is the identity crisis, and being labelled and snap judgments about them even before they speak. And that's not just by you know, a white Caucasian people. It's also when I come to India, there's a snap judgment made about me, and we're fighting these kind of discriminations everywhere we go. So that struggle to find an identity is a tough one, because and that's what we use this platform, the South Asian shows, that, you know, Dalit, who presents the Indus show, and Raistat, who presents the Desi Nation show. We try to bring out stories, whether it's, you know, about discrimination, not about language barriers during COVID, Islamophobia, the recent kind of farmers' protest, everything we will put forward and look at two opinions and balance it. So we want to be the voice of all of the kind of South Asian, not just youngsters, but all the elders as well. And through that dialogue, through that conversation, and through a balanced story, we're able to make little minute changes. Although they're minute, but we're making changes. It's all about acceptance. It's all about having a platform to speak. It's all about being okay with having a British influence and having an Indian influence. You know, it's all right if I go to India and perhaps I can't speak the language. It doesn't make me less of an Indian.
Yes, I completely understand how language barrier can be an issue, as you said. And acceptance is at the base, right? We all need to be more accepting of each other. There are just way too many barriers between, you know, dividing people. So, like racism, you know, in this case, which I'll get to later. But there are so many barriers like gender, caste. And I personally feel that sometimes you just need to see people as people rather than a particular color. I think that's what we're trying to say, right?
So, you know, you were quite instrumental in me voicing and creating content about racism here, not just here in the UK, but everywhere, because I remember your experience and I was so traumatized and upset by it, because I know how you feel. Of course, throughout these years, I've experienced racism in very, you know, by sometimes being called a Paki, or just being discriminated because of my colour and my culture. And because I'm so proud of my culture, people found it quite threatening. Let me just get something to move out the sun. And it's disturbing, it scars you, because you don't, you know, you're already, when you're a teenager, you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to feel different. But now I see as ignorance, and I see education as a tool. So I've changed it around, and I go into schools and I educate teachers of how to recognize racism in a classroom. I speak to children, and just have a very simple dialogue with them about speaking about racism. You know, Shilpa Shetty in 2007 became the racism ambassador for the UK. But then what happened? Where is she now? You know, now, because that issue is finished, she's kind of disappeared, which is disappointing, because, you know, I would have hoped that message would have carried on, because racism, especially after the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview, has become so much in the spotlight now. But I've also experienced racism in our own Indian community. how fair you are or how dark you are, or not being suitable. So that discrimination is still rampant within our own community. So it's also about having the strength to stick up for yourself. Don't take it. In a situation like for you, Samudra, obviously it's different because you're surrounded by bullies. It wasn't just racism. It's like a gang of boys. You can't possibly stand up to them. You can't. You just can't. So you have no.
Doesn't work completely.
No, like you said, how do you stand up to a bunch of bullies at that age who are calling you a Paki or who are discriminating because of your colour, and you report it to a teacher who is just as ill-educated as the children? What do you do? What do you even do? If your teacher can't deal with it, call the police. It's as simple as that, because racism is not tolerated, especially here in the UK. And if your protector, your teacher in your classroom can't deal with it, you take it straight to the police, and don't be afraid of that.
That's a very strong step that you've highlighted, and thank you for pointing it out.
It's very because it scars you, doesn't it? It scars you for the rest of your life.
Yes, it does. But anyway, thank you so much for pointing out this strong step, because from many people who are getting discriminated against on this basis or any basis anywhere might get a lot of inspiration from this. So thank you. And coming to inspiration, your story is quite inspiring because you're one of Lancashire's top 35 talents 2019. So I want to know, what have you done to put Lancashire on the map, and what does Lancashire really mean to you?
I'm born and bred here in Lancashire. Absolutely love everything about Lancashire. And, many people have told me, oh, why don't you go to London and nurture your talent there? There's so many opportunities. But I wanted to be here. I think there's something so different about the people. There's something so magical about Lancashire, and I want to make some positive changes here. And what's refreshing is that that my voice is being heard, and there are small changes being made, and that's encouraging for anyone. And if I can make a difference to the city I was born in, or the county I was born in, I don't think there's any ultimate big saver than that. My guru always teaches us that, just do as much as seva, seva as in the service of God, which means serving the people, with that intention to make a real positive change without any intention of getting anything back. That's what I want to do. Some of you in Kolkata, if you can make a difference in just your area by, which you are, through your amazing videos, even if like I said, it doesn't matter how big the audience is. If you make a change to one person or put a smile on one person, that is a job well done, and that's what I live for.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Ditto. Because since you spoke about this YouTube channel, Mr. C, the aim or the objective was never really to rake in views, but purely for creative satisfaction and to spread empathy and awareness about certain, socially relevant or relatable topics. So I think you and me, we're sort of people who just enjoy doing something creative and meaningful rather than becoming hotshot celebrities. You, of course, are a celebrity, but I think that's not really the aim. We just want to have fun, right?
Yeah, we're just two creative junkies, aren't we? We just want that energy and... So many people might not know, me and Samudra, along with Shauna, my mum, and Anurag and everybody, did a documentary in Cuttack. And we had the best time. I mean, I don't know how a station for me was an experience and a half. I was just like, whoa. And Samudra was following me with the camera going, Neetal, shoot here, shoot there, shoot here. And it was just so much fun. And then on the train, how fun was it on the train? And I'd never been served such delicious food on the train. And then we just had the best experience ever.
Yes, our entire train journey in Cuttack and then the stay, it was amazing.
Was I diva on the set? I thought it was quite fun, wasn't I?
Yeah, of course. You were a diva, but minus the tantrums.
Oh yeah, the tantrums. I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. Always.
No, I'm saying that you were a diva without the tantrums, without any tantrums.
A diva without the tantrums. I thought I did. I just felt like I was constantly hungry when I was there. and Sean was making sure I had my water. Neetal ka pani, madam ka pani.
Okay, so now tell me, what is a day like in the life of Neetal Parekh, the reporter?
Oh, so on a day of an interview, there's a lot of preparation because, it's I always watch, and this is just real solid training that I've had, especially from Talat, is making sure that you research. So say let's for example Priyanka Chopra's, let's walk through that. So Priyanka Chopra's interview was given kind of 24 hours before, saying, we've got a slot available, can you interview, can you make yourself available? So you kind of shift all your schedule around, and it was a Zoom one. And so I had gone through all the interviews. I must have gone through at least 20, and there was one that stood out. And it was a rendezvous with Simi Garawal. It was India's most desirable, and there's a certain clip that her father sang to her, which made Priyanka cry. And I know how close she is to her father, so I thought I'm going to use this clip just to remind her of what her father thought of her achievements, because she's releasing a book. So from that I derived probably 5 questions, because I only had 10 minutes. No, I only had 5 minutes. 5 minutes I only had. So you can imagine it just has to be quick and short and snappy. And so the first day I went, and I was waiting for about 4 hours, but the interview didn't happen. And then they said, probably come back in the evening because the interviews are overrunning. That took another 2 hours, and then it got cancelled. And then the next day I waited, and that got cancelled. And I thought, okay, maybe this is just not happening. So it's all about, okay. And then as soon as I just took my makeup off, and I had literally one eye makeup. I don't know if anybody noticed it. It was just great lighting, I think. And he said, oh, she's available now. I said, I've just taken my makeup off. And he's like, don't worry, just come. And then we did the interview. And from 5 minutes, it went on to 11 and a half to 12 minutes because she enjoyed the conversation that much. And straight after the interview, it was typing up and releasing everything that we did immediately. So the moral of the story is there's a lot of you do your research, and then there's the waiting around, and then it's being available to do that interview straight away. So technically, obviously, if it was just me face to face, I'd just have to have my camera on my phone because it was so last minute. You just have to be well prepared, and you can't afford to be like, no, I'm not interviewing anymore, or you can't be unprofessional. You've got to keep the professional game face on. And then once the interview's done, the follow-up of it, are you tweeting it? Are you releasing it? Are you doing the correct hashtags? Are you making the noise? So all that has to be followed. Then the editing, the sound quality. So all that is hours and hours of work that goes behind a 5-minute clip. So it's about being proactive. If I see something, I will contact the manager and say, look, you're doing this. Can we have an interview? I interviewed Dr. Kiran Bedi. I just tweeted her saying, I'd like an interview about your journey. And her management got back to me and said, yeah, that's fine. And it's about, why do you want to interview that person? Is it for views, or is it genuinely you're interested in that person? I'm a huge Kiran Bedi fan, so I'd interview her time and again. She's a brilliant, oh my gosh, she interviews brilliantly. But yeah, and then you have them other other days. You have them other days where you're not really doing, you're just waiting around, or you just have minimal stories. So it's about all being proactive and excited by your story.
That's a very interesting thing you've said. And I think that's something which many of us lack. We have this habit of procrastination. And I think you can attribute your success to the fact that you're so proactive. Like you said, that you're constantly on social media trying to, figure out who is where, what needs to be written. I think you can credit your success majorly to that. Okay, so finally, what tips would you like to share for any aspiring interviewer or reporter?
Okay, so first and foremost, do your research. You do your research about who you're interviewing. That's always it gives you so much more confidence. Write your questions down, and listen to what they're answering. If they're telling you about a story, about a traumatic story, and you're like, okay, thank you, next question. Don't be mechanical. Keep it natural. Do like you're doing right now, Samudra. That naturalness. Just you're listening to me, and you're deriving your questions from there. And also having backup questions just in case there's awkward silences. Some people are great interviewers. They'll just give you the answer that you want, and then there's no conversation. You being at ease, you feeling good. It's almost like a job interview. Make sure you feel confident and not conscious. And creating a real comfort zone with the interviewer, beforehand. To say, hi, I'm Samudra, or I'm Joe Blogs, and I've come from here, and that's nice. That's nice to introduce and tell them where your interview is going to be featured, and then of course during the interview, keeping eye contact, looking interested. Don't be on your phone. Try and memorize some of your questions, or just keep them as notes. And like I said, the key thing is eye contact and listening, because that's a real big thing. And not having the bog standard question that's really boring. Gone are them days. You just need to be really kind of on it. And and then the follow up after it, thanking them or sending them a little note, or sending the team a little note who's organized it, and then uploading it and making sure you make all the noise that I've interviewed this person. They're my golden tips.
Wow, I'm sure quite a few budding interviewers have now learned quite a few tips and tricks from Neetal. So thank you so much, Neetal. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. Of course, I know you informally, but formally interviewing Neetal Parekh, the reporter, presenter, it's truly been an honor. So thank you so much. Even I have some tips now for my next interview.
I'm so excited to be an interview. You're such a natural. You are such a natural, and I love your channel. I love all the content. And in fact, I've always said to Samudra, we'd love you to come on the BBC Lancashire show and tell us about your journey, because it's so interesting. And you're just as, not just as, you are in fact way more talented, and create amazing content. So I'd love you on the show. I'll do my research.
Thank you so much. I would love to be interviewed by you. And also, I want to let viewers of my YouTube channel, Mr. C, know a small bit of trivia. That is that Neetal was there in the very first episode of Smoothie Saturdays, which was the first major segment on my YouTube channel, Mr. C. And then she also featured in another Smoothie Saturday, which was actually a short film, Naughty Nine, which premiered at Warrington Film Festival and was a big hit over there. So thanks a lot for being a part of my YouTube journey, creative journey.
Wait.
So basically, you're a natural interviewer plus actress. In fact, I think you can make a really good actress. I think if you tried, you'd give good competition to some of these Bollywood actresses. So please do give it a try. I'd love to see you act.
That was just great direction. That's the credit. Oh my God, I look at that stuff and think, oh my God. But thank you so much, Samudra, and so proud of you, and thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And viewers, for more interviews on peppy professions, do like, share, comment and subscribe. And have a high tide week. We'll be back soon.